First time poster here, long time lurker. My story took place last November in a large city in the southern USA. Needless to say, it's now the reason I have a concealed carry permit. I was leaving my office alone last November, very late at night. I work with a very exclusive clientele, including many celebrities and high-level executives, so late nights are often common. There's a gas station across from my office and an international airport close by, so this is a well-lit, busy area with a fire department next door. I pulled into the gas station to get some gas, as I live about 45 minutes from my office and have no problems. I get to the red light and turn onto the busy bypass around the city, and there's an Infiniti G35 following behind me. No worries, it's a busy intersection, and the car was at the gas station with me, so I brush it off. I keep driving, and I started noticing every time I switched lanes, so did the driver of the Infiniti. I was getting a little unnerved, but thought maybe he was using me as a speed shield, as the cops are really heavy on that particular road. So I slow down and move to the right lane. He follows. He's staying behind me and riding my bumper. Okay, weird. I get off at the next exit, not mine, but I really couldn't shake the feeling he was following me. I pull into a gas station, and sure enough, he pulls in the spot next to me. At that point, I slam my car in reverse and nope the hell back on the bypass. I look in my rearview mirror, and he's hot on my heels. I get off at the next exit and make a series of random turns, taking back roads to the interstate, and sure enough, he's still following me. By this point, I'm on the phone with my boyfriend, scared out of my mind. It's late, it's dark, I'm alone, and there's some guy following me through the city in a sketchy part of town. I hang up with my boyfriend and call 911, but I'm now on the interstate, so Metro PD has to transfer to Highway Patrol. By this time, I think I've lost him because he saw me on my phone and went around. I get to the next exit, and there is his Infiniti on the shoulder of the road. He spots my car and swoops in behind me again. Fortunately, I've spoken to Highway Patrol, and an officer is waiting 3 exits up at the gas station for me. I haul ass to that gas station because it's the only option I have. I exit the interstate and pull into the gas station with the Infiniti hot on my heels until he sees the cop car. He cuts out of the gas station and hops back onto the interstate, the opposite way we were going, back towards the city instead of out of it. A truck driver pulls in right after that, and I can't thank him enough. He noticed the guy jump in behind me and heard the call to Highway Patrol over the scanner, so he stayed behind him to make sure I was safe. Turns out he was a former military police officer and got a full plate number and gave it to the officer. They arrested the guy the next day. Turns out he was a rapist, following women home from work and raping them in their driveway or home, and he was escalating in his level of violence. The girl he raped the night before me was in critical condition from the beating she sustained. So, to the truck driver that was concerned, thank you. I hope we meet again, so I can properly thank you for helping me. And to the Highway Patrol officer, thank you as well. I'm glad we've met again and I was able to buy you dinner. To the creepy rapist in the Infiniti, I now have a .40 locked and loaded at all times, so it's best if we don't meet again. This incident happened in 2011, shortly after I returned home from college. My family home was in a relatively safe area, but around the time I left for school, it had started to decline somewhat. I didn't notice straight away, and upon my return, I was going through severe depression and a life crisis. At the time, I was staying up all night playing the newly released Elder Scrolls V, and on that particular occasion, I had gone all day without eating or getting out of bed except for bathroom breaks. So, I decided to go to a very popular 24-hour restaurant located very near my house. It is directly in front of a light rail train stop in my city. There are frequently homeless, transient types that frequent the strip mall, but I've never had an issue as the restaurant is typically packed with post-clubbing clientele at these hours. I parked directly in front of said restaurant and got down to order. My food was ready very quickly, and I got back into my car. The car next to me pulled out first. I hadn't noticed the driver get in, but I didn't give it much thought. And he paused in the middle of a small parking lot. I took this as the driver being courteous and allowing me to leave, so I pulled out and went on my way. As I drove home, the car that had let me out was apparently travelling in the same direction as I was. Just to be cautious, I didn't go home right away. I kept driving past my residential area, going nonsensical ways, in circles basically. The car continued to follow me. I continued driving until I saw an approaching yellow light. I decided to run the red light. The driver behind me did as well. It was at this point I started to get scared. I had left my cell phone at home because I was only going to be gone for 10 minutes max. Dumbass. So, I made an impulse decision to go into my residential area. The streets there make up a weird labyrinth of cul-de-sacs and through streets, and unless you know it really well, it's very easy to get turned around. I turned into an adjacent condo complex that had another entrance directly in my area, but whose roads were windy and confusing. I was able to get some distance between me and my pursuer, but not much. As we exited the condos, he was able to see me make a quick right uphill. I drove quickly at this point, using my knowledge of the area to my advantage to lose them. We did this dance for a good 20 minutes before I was able to round the corner near the particular cul-de-sac where I lived without him in sight. My house is adjacent to the corner home, and the driveway is designed so that cars parked next to the garage aren't visible from the through street. I turned very quickly into my driveway and shut off the car, locked it so that all the lights were turned off. I sank into the seat as much as I could, trying to avoid being visible. After a minute or so, I heard a car drive down the cul-de-sac. I heard it turn around at the end of the street and drive back in the opposite way. I don't know for sure if that was my follower, but he continued on his way. I ran into my house after that and cried. This was the first of a series of events that would happen that year to open my eyes as to how I really needed to take care of my safety as a young woman. So, mystery driver, let's not meet again. Thanks for listening, guys. I've been Lizzy Giggles. Subscribe now and like if you enjoyed the video. And remember, nervous giggles await.